Welcome, everyone, to the Uncanny Valley podcast. Have you ever seen something, maybe encountered something that's so close to human or maybe just so close to what you expect that it just unsettles you? That feeling, that deep unease when something is almost right, but there's something fundamentally wrong underneath.
Yeah, that sense of revulsion almost. It hits you right in the gut.
Exactly. Well, today we're diving into a real-world case study that really embodies that feeling. It takes us from what seems like a routine postal inspection all the way to the dark corners of scientific ambition.
And maybe something darker than just science.
Right. A chilling conspiracy that honestly defies the very concept of death itself.
Indeed. And this isn't just about things that look a bit off, like, a slightly weird robot or CGI. This is about life itself being twisted.
Twisted how?
Like a macabre ballet, maybe, performed right on the edge of what's natural and what's an abomination. We're going to examine a series of events from the late 1990s, a time when, technological innovation was really taking off, but it met something much older, something more sinister.
Pushing science into places it maybe shouldn't go.
Places we can barely conceive, let alone feel comfortable with.
So our goal today is to unpack this really fascinating, if deeply disturbing narrative. We'll follow the trail of clues, try to uncover the hidden players.
Peel back those layers.
Yeah, and ultimately understand what happened when this seemingly mundane package just unleashed a terrifying secret, a secret that plunges us right into that uncanny valley. So what exactly did our story begin with? Where does this nightmare really kick off?
The bizarre delivery and its immediate aftermath.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our story kicks off, almost cinematically, with a U.S. Postal Inspection Service officer, Berkeley, California, September 5th.
Right. Routine day, presumably.
You'd think.
Yeah.
But imagine this scene. There's a package. Looks normal at first, maybe a bit banged up. But then it starts causing problems. It's leaking these strange, oily chemicals.
Okay, a hazmat situation, maybe?
More than that, it wasn't just leaking. There was rustling.
Rustling?
Yeah, as if something inside was moving, thrashing around in there. You could just picture the alarm bells going off in that facility.
Well, absolutely. That's not just a spill. That's something else entirely active.
Oh, yeah, an unnatural vitality.
And what's really striking here is how quickly things escalated. This wasn't just, oh, let's call hazmat. The postal worker who found it. They called the local bomb squad.
The bomb squad. Why?
Instinct, maybe. But here's the thing. They're bomb-sniffing dogs, highly trained dogs.
Yeah.
They went crazy at the smell, just totally agitated. But, and this is crucial, they didn't indicate explosives.
Huh. So not a bomb, but something else triggering them.
Exactly. It was this really early signal that whatever was in that box wasn't conventional. It was something biological, something deeply unsettling, and just way outside the norm. The dogs are reacting to something unnatural, a violation.
So the situation's already tense. Bomb squad's there. Dogs are going nuts.
Yeah.
What happens next?
They bring in a portable X-ray machine to finally get a look inside without, opening it directly.
And what did they see?
A still image, really disturbing but static, a dog's head wrapped in cold patch.
Just a dog's head.
Yeah, grim enough, right. But that image, as bad as it was, did not prepare them for the reality.
Oh, no.
Once they actually opened the package, the head was moving.
What? No.
Yeah. It had worked itself loose from the wrappings inside, just this slow, writhing motion, defying everything.
I can't even imagine.
And then it got worse. It lunged, bit one of the inspectors, Richard Rafferty, on the hand.
The head bit him.
The head bit him, and it
Yeah.
wouldn't let go, just locked on. Imagine the terror. They tried, couldn't get it off.
So what did he do?
He, in desperation, fired 6 rounds from his service pistol.
6 rounds into the head.
Had to. Shot its jawbone basically out of its hinge just to force it to release his hand. An unliving thing, still attacking, unbelievable tenacity.
Wow. That's pure nightmare fuel.
Absolutely. And this event, September 5th, it deeply traumatized everyone there. Inspector Johann Baldwin, who kind of became the main point of contact.
Yeah.
He described the head later as an absolute abomination. Said it was a German shepherd's head, already mangled from the gunshots, blasted eye, exposed brain tissue. But its jaw muscles still kept jerking, spasmodically, like a grotesque parody of life.
And you mentioned something about the color.
Right. The flesh, the exposed brain tissue, it was stained this faint, unnatural blue, just added to the whole wrongness of it, this unnatural sight, this mockery of death. It pushed them all deep into that uncanny valley, sickening revulsion. It left a mark.
I can only imagine. The sheer horror of it. A head that moves, attacks. It defies everything.
Which is why Baldwin immediately ordered a cover-up.
A cover-up?
A complete cover. Everyone who witnessed it, including the postmaster, the implication was crystal clear. Whatever this thing was, it could not get out. Public knowledge, unthinkable.
The potential panic.
Or worse. Think about it. This immediate suppression tells you how high they perceived the threat level even before they knew what it was. They weren't just containing information. They felt like they were containing a potential breach in reality itself.
So the urgency to figure out where it came from
Became absolutely paramount. A desperate race against the unknown.
Unpacking the origin. Corporate secrets and dark science.
Okay, so we have this horrific incident, this reanimated head. Where does the trail lead from there? How do they find the source?
Well, the investigation, pulling together all these unsettling threads, eventually led them to a pharmaceutical company. Amalgamated Bio-Carb, Inc., ABC for short.
Amalgamated Bio-Carb sounds
Yeah,
corporate.
exactly. And that's the disturbing part. This wasn't some, hidden cult in a cave. This was a high-tech biotech firm, publicly traded on NASDAQ, symbol AMLB, presented itself as totally legitimate, innovative.
What were they supposedly working on?
Their public focus was patenting new drugs for the central nervous system. Antipsychotics, anti-seizure meds. They even claimed to be working on a drug to revive long-term coma patients.
Sounds almost noble, right? Cutting-edge stuff.
On the surface, yes. But if we connect this to, the bigger picture of corporate behavior, ABC, despite the fancy tech talk, was struggling financially.
How so?
They had what's called a high burn rate, pouring money into research and development, but nothing actually on the market yet. No income, classic biotech gamble, but they were losing.
And that makes them vulnerable.
Extremely. Rumors of infighting on the board, stock price shaky. They were desperate for capital, which made them, as the report notes, perfect for the job. Small, new, hungry, and willing to not ask too many awkward questions.
So they took a deal they shouldn't have.
Precisely. This financial desperation opened the door. They started production of a compound called Sapphire.
Sapphire, that blue stuff on the dog head.
Presumably. They started making it for a Uruguayan holding company called Nuevas Fronteras back in January of that year. It's a chilling example of how, simple corporate desperation can pave the way for something truly sinister.
So who is Nuevas Fronteras? Really just a shell company?
Exactly. A corporate phantom. The real entity behind it. Much, much worse. An organization called the Karotechia.
The Karotechia. Okay, that sounds ominous.
It is. For anyone unfamiliar, the Karotechia are, they're basically Nazi occultists. A shadowy group born from the darkest corners of the Third Reich.
Nazi occultists? Seriously?
Dead serious. They weren't just about political power. They believed in harnessing black magic, forbidden science, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Their goal, a supernatural Fourth Reich, pushing humanity into realms of power and terror. It's hard to even grasp.
And how does ABC fit into that?
One of the Karotechia's leaders, their ruling triumvirate, was a Dr. Gunther Frank, described as a technological necromancer. Highly skilled. His experiments required these really exotic chemical compounds, high purity, large volumes.
Let me guess. Sapphire.
You got it. He was the one who placed the massive order for Sapphire with ABC. No questions asked on ABC's part, just took the money. A deal between corporate desperation and, ancient evil.
Okay, this raises a huge question. What is Sapphire? What does it do besides the obvious horror with the dog head?
Right. So Dr. Frank's work in, quote, reanimation and necromancy wasn't entirely new. It was apparently a refinement, a terrifying advancement based on techniques devised decades earlier by a Dr. Herbert West.
Herbert West. That name rings a bell. Sort of infamous, right? Miskatonic University.
The very same. Whispered about with awe and, frankly, dread. Frank combined West's work with parallel research by another figure, a Dr. Javier Munoz. And here's another twist.
Go on.
15 years before all this, Dr. Anzili Matro, remember him, she becomes important later at ABC, had actually dug up West's dissertation and notes from Miskatonic's archives. She was apparently intrigued by the theory of revivifying dead tissue even back then.
Wow. So the groundwork was already there.
The theoretical groundwork, yeah. Now, the actual production of Sapphire by ABC, hugely illegal, violated tons of OSHA and EPA standards, mostly because ABC was deliberately kept in the dark about what it was for. Plausible deniability, right?
So they just made the stuff, shipped it out, no questions asked.
Pretty much. Frank's own facilities, hidden away in Estancia, Brazil, apparently couldn't keep up with the sheer scale of his ambitions. He needed more Sapphire than he could make himself. So he outsourced production to a desperate American company with, as we know, catastrophic results.
The accident, that wasn't...
So ABC is churning out this Sapphire stuff on a remote Indian reservation. Blackfeet Reservation, you said.
That's right, for plausible deniability and fewer regulations. But things take a really dark, really unexpected turn on July 4th, Independence Day.
What happened?
A group of local guys, Thomas Ironshirt, Jacob Left Hand, and Charles Lowhorn, decided to break into ABC's facility there, the Gemstone Blackfeet production facility.
Why? Were they after the Sapphire? Did they know what it was?
No, not at all. It was much more mundane, tragically so. They thought ABC had chemicals they could use to cook up street drugs. Methamphetamines, MDMA, something like that. Just a regular burglary attempt gone horribly wrong.
And they got help getting in.
Yeah, Thomas Ironshirt's girlfriend, Lynn Crystal Stone, she worked as a janitor at the plant, gave them uniforms, stolen IDs, even a basic map. She had no idea what she was enabling.
So they get inside.
Right, but they weren't exactly pros. They trip alarms pretty quickly. Security personnel start chasing them.
Okay.
The chase leads them right into the Sapphire production unit, a place they should never have been. Now, the guards, instead of confronting them directly, maybe they were worried the burglars were armed, they did something else.
What?
They unleashed 4 guard dogs into the unit.
Guard dogs into a chemical production area.
Yeah. And that's when Thomas Ironshirt makes a fatal mistake. Maybe trying to scare off the dogs, maybe just panic. He fires a gun he was carrying.
It hits.
Not a dog. He hits one of the production vats, a vat full of Sapphire under high pressure.
Oh, no.
It exploded instantly, released this huge cloud of gaseous Sapphire, flooding the entire unit.
And the burglars?
The dogs?
Died almost instantly. The report says toxic shock from direct exposure. This wasn't just a chemical spill, it was an unleashing, something far worse than anyone there understood.
Given what we know about Sapphire, that wasn't the end of it, was it?
Not even close. This is where it goes from tragic accident to absolute nightmare. They didn't stay dead.
How long?
Minutes. Just minutes later, the newly dead, all 3 burglars, all 4 dogs, they were back. You can call it that.
What were they doing?
Howling and pounding on the sealed door as they tore each other to shreds. That's the description. Pure chaos. Animalistic rage.
Tearing each other to shreds. Literally. One of the burglars, Jacob Left Hand, was apparently torn limb from limb by the reanimated dogs. Their minds were gone, but maybe their last command attack was still lodged in there somehow.
And his limbs. They just stopped moving.
No! That's the horror! His severed arms, legs, they kept flopping around, still animated by the Sapphire, grotesque, undying.
What about the others?
Charles Lowhorn got badly mauled in the chaos, but Thomas Ironshirt, somehow, by some horrifying miracle, he retained his original intelligence, his consciousness.
He was aware. As a zombie.
Aware,
Yeah.
trapped in this reanimated body. He managed to hide himself in an equipment closet while the carnage unfolded outside. Imagine that, experiencing the uncanny valley from the inside, knowing you're dead, but you're not, and you're trapped.
That's existentially terrifying. What happened when the company found out?
The Special Operations Director, Ray Turner, arrived on scene pretty quickly. This guy sounds like a real piece of work. Ruthless corporate fixer type.
And he saw the situation.
Oh, he saw it. And his first instinct, cover up, total lockdown. Break-in, never reported to tribal police. Chemical leak, never reported to the EPA. Witnesses, every single employee who saw anything was bribed. Huge sums of money, then immediately transferred to other ABC facilities, scattered, silenced, erased.
But Turner knew about the reanimation effect, right? He must have.
He knew. And here's where his ambition kicks in. He initially kept the zombie part totally to himself, didn't tell his superiors, nobody, because he immediately recognized the potential value. Unimaginable value if it could be controlled. Refined for humans. He started dreaming big, banishing fatal wounds, terminal diseases, maybe even old age, death itself. He saw himself becoming the richest man in the world, turning this absolute horror into personal gain.
That's monstrous ambition.
Yeah.
So how did he plan to control it, to understand it?
He needed help. He brought in Dr. Enzili Matro, one of ABC's top biochemists.
One who researched Herbert West years ago.
The very same. She'd already been working on artificial stimulants for coma patients, kind of adjacent research. When Turner showed her what Sapphire could do and maybe shared some initial data, she made the connection.
To West's reanimation agent.
Exactly. She recognized the formula, or something very close to it. She immediately set up a new, highly restricted lab, called it Lab 6.
And started experimenting. On who?
On the survivors of the incident.
Mm-hmm.
The reanimated burglars. the dogs.
Oh, God.
Her initial findings were chilling. Vital organs, basically useless. They didn't eat, didn't sleep, didn't breathe naturally. But the central nervous system still had control over the muscles and cognitive abilities. They persisted, though reduced, except perhaps for Iron Shirt. She saw these dead things functioning as if alive, a grotesque triumph of science over nature.
The reluctant whistleblower.
So Metro is running these horrific experiments in Lab 6, sanctioned by Turner. Did anyone else know, suspect anything?
Yes. One of Metro's assistants, Dr. Arnold Crisp, he started getting suspicious about the closed section of Lab 6. The secrecy, the weird noises, maybe.
He sensed something was wrong.
Deeply wrong. Curiosity mixed with, I imagine, a growing sense of dread. It pushed him to do something incredibly risky. He broke in.
He broke into the secure part of Lab 6.
Waited until Metro was meeting with Turner, apparently. And what he found inside, well, it confirmed his worst fears, and then some.
What did he see?
The stuff of nightmares. He saw Thomas Iron Shirt, the conscious one, head shaved like the others but fully aware, begging for release from inside a plexiglass cell. His sanity just eroding day by day in that living hell.
Aware and trapped. Horrifying.
Then he saw Charles Lowhorn, the mauled one, strapped down, snarling like a rabid animal, just pure rage left in him. And Jacob Left Hand?
The one torn apart.
Just his head, resting on some equipment, cranium open, wired up with dozens of probes, his eyes rolling madly while an EEG machine just pinged away. A ghastly metronome tracking his endless, agonizing brain activity.
I have no words. That's beyond comprehension.
And Crisp also overheard Turner and Metro talking, discussing their plans for Sapphire, talking about moving on to human experimentation, using fresh cadavers, taking it to the next level.
So Crisp knew the full extent of the horror. What did he decide to do? This puts him in an impossible position.
Absolutely agonizing, a real moral crossroads. What would you do? He was terrified. But his fear wasn't just for himself. He worried that reporting it to the government, well, it wouldn't stop it.
Why not?
He figured they'd just classify it, national security, cover it from the public, but let the experiments continue in secret, maybe even take them over.
So he didn't trust the authorities either.
Not to actually stop it. He wanted it exposed.
Yeah.
Ended. Completely. His paranoia, totally justified, I think, drove him to look for, well, for fanatics.
Fanatics.
People too dedicated, too extreme, maybe even too crazy to be bought off or scared off by ABC or the government. People who would scream it from the rooftops.
And did he find someone?
He remembered someone from his past. Fiona Linway. They were classmates back at UC Berkeley.
Fiona Linway. The name from the package note.
The very one. He remembered her as this fanatical environmentalist, member of PETA, the Animal Liberation Front, ALF, had a history of direct action, even criminal mischief, against animal testing labs.
So someone not afraid to break rules for a cause?
Fiercely defiant, unyielding. He'd heard she was editing an environmentalist magazine now, the Ecotopian.
Yeah.
He actually ordered a copy, confirmed she was the editor, and decided, yep, she's the one. She won't back down. She'll expose this.
So how did he plan to reach her? He couldn't just call her up.
No, too risky. And he was terrified of going back into that closed section of Lab 6 after what he saw. So he did the next best thing, or so we thought.
Which was?
He grabbed one of the reanimated dog heads from the open section of the lab, less secure, smuggled it out under cover of night.
He stole one of the heads.
Yeah, drove hours away to Great Falls, Montana to try and obscure the origin point. Mailed it next day express to Fiona Linway.
Along with the note we heard about.
Exactly. A note explaining the horror, promising more information. And then that grimly ironic touch, listing Thomas Iron Shirt as the sender, linking the victim to the warning.
But the package never got to her.
Never did. Intercepted by the U.S. Postal Service. Why? Heightened security, post-Unabomber, post-anthrax scares. They were screening things much more carefully. Crisp's desperate gamble failed. Or rather, it went sideways.
And Crisp, what was his state of mind then?
Utterly paralyzed by fear and paranoia. He knew the package was gone, likely in federal hands. He was convinced Metro suspected him, that Turner would find out. He didn't know whether to run or stay put and hope for the best.
So his attempt to expose it actually triggered the official investigation.
Exactly. Inadvertently. His intercepted package became the catalyst, the single piece of physical evidence that started unraveling the whole horrifying operation at Amalgamated Bio-Carb. The reluctant whistleblower, terrified and alone, set everything in motion.
The trail of clues, from Berkeley to the Blackfeet Reservation.
Okay, so the feds now have this head, this impossible object. What did they learn from it forensically?
It became the star witness, really. Analysis confirmed it was surgically removed, clean-cut surgical saw, Couldn't tell if it was reanimated before or after removal, though.
And the tissue itself, you said it was stained blue.
Right. Chemical analysis found it was permeated with that unknown artificial blue compound Sapphire. And the tissue state was bizarre, described as neither truly dead nor alive.
Meaning what exactly?
Cells weren't doing normal biological things, not replicating, not repairing, not taking in nutrients, not excreting waste. But crucially, they weren't dying either, just suspended in this unnatural stasis.
Like pause was hit on the biological processes.
Kind of. But worse, EEG scans showed neural synapses were still firing. What was left of the brain was still active. It wasn't just residual twitching, it was persistent neural activity. A sign of some kind of consciousness, maybe. Horrifying thought.
And the Sapphire compound itself, did they figure out what it was made of?
They found it had characteristics of adrenaline, cerebral spinal fluid, and various neurotransmitters. Think about that combination.
Okay. Adrenaline is like a jump start.
Right, forces a response. Cerebral spinal fluid normally protects the brain and spine, but here it acts like a delivery system, getting the compound deep into the neural tissue.
And neurotransmitters. Hijacking the body's signals.
Exactly. It's like a bioelectrical override, forcing the nervous system to keep firing even when the rest of the body is fundamentally dead or non-functional. It confirmed, scientifically, the utterly unnatural nature of this thing.
And then there was the note inside the package.
Right. Printed on recycled paper, addressed clearly to Fiona Linway at the Ecotopian in Berkeley.
With the fake return address.
Yeah, the P.O. box for Thomas Ironshirt on the Blackfeet Reservation, and the postmark from Great Falls, Montana, all deliberate breadcrumbs left by Crisp. Each detail was a piece of the puzzle, pointing towards both the source and the intended recipient.
So investigating Fiona Linway was the next logical step.
Absolutely. And she was easy to find. FBI databases flagged her immediately. Editor of the Ecotopian, known eco-radical, criminal record for direct action stuff.
What were her views like?
Extreme, fiercely anti-corporate, anti-government, supported groups like Earth First, PETA, ALF, even, controversially, the Gradual Human Extinction Movement.
Gradual human extinction. Wow, okay.
Yeah, so fiercely independent, deeply suspicious of the feds. When agents initially approached her, she was predictably hostile, contemptuous.
But did they learn anything useful?
One crucial detail. She vaguely remembered an Arnold Crisp from college. Said he was awkward, maybe tried to ask her out once or twice. Suddenly, that name connects the sender's fear to the recipient. It adds a personal layer.
Okay, so they have Chris possibly linked. What about the return address name, Thomas Ironshirt?
They checked records on the Blackfeet Reservation, found him easily. Petty criminal, history of trespassing, burglary, larceny. Local tribal police knew him well.
Detective Sergeant Wallace Red Crow.
That's the one. He confirmed Ironshirt, Jacob Left Hand, and Charles Lowhorn had all been missing since early July. Right around the time of that supposed accident at the ABC Gemstone facility.
What did the family say?
Concerned, naturally. Jacob Left Hand's parents acknowledged their son's troubled past. Charles Lowhorn's mother, Rebecca Whitecalf, she was actually afraid of her son. Almost preferred him gone, given his violence. Adds this layer of local tragedy to the whole thing.
And then there was Lynn Crystal Stone, Ironshirt's girlfriend, the janitor.
Right. Finding her was the key breakthrough for getting inside information. Investigators located her, questioned her. She eventually admitted helping the guys break in on July 4th.
Did she know what happened afterwards?
Not exactly, but she knew something was wrong. She went to work the next night, saw the plant locked down, frantic activity, men in spacesuits, spraying stuff, tanker trucks. She figured ABC had covered something up, believed they'd killed the guys and incinerated the bodies.
Did she trust the investigators?
Not really. Deeply distrustful of law enforcement, but the severity of it all, and maybe a sliver of hope that Thomas might still be alive somewhere, that made her a potential asset. Reluctant, but maybe willing to help collect samples, provide intel, maybe even help with infiltration.
And what about ABC itself? What more did they dig up on the company?
Their corporate profile got even darker. Reputation for playing fast and loose with FDA, EPA regs, setting up facilities deliberately outside U.S. jurisdiction, the reservation, South Korea, China, places with less oversight.
To cut corners, maximize profit.
Seems likely. And those persistent rumors about human experimentation in China suddenly looked a lot more plausible, especially given Sapphire.
And the fixer, Ray Turner?
Yeah, the new special projects consultant. Known history of criminal actions in support of corporate policy. Bribery, blackmail, the works. The Blackfeet facility itself. Designed for isolation, remote. Effectively outside direct federal oversight, even though the Tribal Environmental Board had some standards, ABC had to pretend to meet. It all painted a picture of a company willing to do anything.
Anything for profit. Or something worse.
Infiltrating the unseen. The Gemstone facility in Lab 6.
So the investigation is zeroing in on this gemstone facility. What was it actually like? You said it was isolated?
Oh, yeah. More like a fortress than a factory. About 30 kilometers north of Browning, Montana, near the Canadian border. End of a 10-kilometer private road. Maximum isolation.
What about security?
Heavy. An outer chain link fence, almost 5 meters high, topped with razor wire. Then an inner fence, nearly 4 meters, also with razor wire.
Double fence.
And between them, a 10-meter wide kennel run, patrolled by guard dogs at night, plus surveillance cameras everywhere, roving security patrols. It was buttoned up tight.
And the buildings themselves?
4 low, bunker-like production units, named Sapphire, Ruby, Diamond, Emerald, all arranged around a central administration building. That's where the labs were, security offices, even its own waste incinerator, self-contained, designed to keep secrets in.
So getting inside wasn't going to be easy?
Not at all. Overt approaches, forget it. The security chief, Louis DeShield, just stonewalled everyone. Denials, hostility.
What about a search warrant?
Complicated. Tribal jurisdiction issues, plus they needed really strong probable cause. ABC and the tribal authorities would fight it tooth and nail, which often pushes investigators towards less conventional methods.
Breaking and entering. Going covert.
Pretty much. And that's where Lynn Crystal Stone becomes absolutely vital. Her insider knowledge, priceless. She could maybe get uniforms, IDs, find a blind spot in security, maybe even help plant a listening device. She was their best, maybe only, shot at getting inside quietly.
Assuming they get inside. Where's the real horror? Lab 6, right?
Lab 6. Hidden inside that central admin building. Behind a disguised wall, apparently, secured by a 7-digit keypad. That was Metro's private chamber of horrors.
What would investigators find in there if they got past the door?
Just unspeakable things. Plexiglass cages holding the reanimated burglars, each one a unique nightmare. Okay. First, Charles Lohorn. Badly mauled in the initial incident, kept muzzled, strapped naked to a wheeled autopsy table. Metro was constantly experimenting on him, trying to repair him, but it was more like grotesque tinkering. A Frankenstein's monster, reduced to just animalistic rage.
Oh, man.
Then Jacob, left hand, the one dismembered by the dogs, reduced to just his head. Sitting amidst all this equipment, cranium sawed open, wires and probes everywhere, eyes rolling madly, EEG pinging like that ghastly metronome, recording his endless trapped consciousness, his organs, limbs, floating in specimen jars filled with blue sapphire fluid around the lab, like trophies.
That's sickening. And Thomas Iron's shirt. The conscious one.
Still conscious, head shaved like the others, but fully aware, trapped. He hated Metro, only cooperated to avoid being dismembered like Jacob. He just begged for release, begged for escape, begged for revenge. A conscious zombie, unable to sleep, sanity crumbling. He is the uncanny valley experienced from the inside. Self-aware abomination.
It makes you question what alive even means.
Exactly. And Metro's notes, found locked in a wall safe in Lab 6, they detailed all of it. Chillingly scientific, explicitly comparing Sapphire to Herbert West's reanimation agent, building on his work.
What else was in the lab?
Reanimated monkeys, rats, guinea pigs, and the 4 original guard dogs from the accident, mangled but still animated, kept in a walk-in freezer.
Why a freezer?
To preserve the Sapphire compound's integrity, apparently.
Yeah.
Slow down its degradation in the tissue. Just viewing these things, these weakly struggling remains, was apparently a major psychological blow. And the lack of smell, the lack of waste, their unnatural quietness, it all screamed wrongness, unnatural stasis.
The true architects of horror. The Karotechia's arrival.
So the investigators are closing in, maybe getting help from Lynn Stone, but then something else happens, right? Another player enters the game.
A much older, much more dangerous player. No matter how fast the feds worked, on September 14th, the Karotechia intervened directly. Reinhard Galt landed unannounced at the gemstone facility.
Galt, who's he?
Another member of the Karotechia's ruling triumvirate, alongside Dr. Frank. Galt wasn't a scientist, though. He was something else, described as an ageless cannibal and mercenary.
A cannibal?
Yeah, almost mythical among neo-fascists, the invincible Aryan Superman type. Though the report suggests he was less interested in the Fourth Reich ideology and more interested in, well, maintaining a diverse and varied diet for his own twisted immortality.
Okay, that's deeply unsettling.
He just showed up.
Flew in privately with 5 Totenkopf commandos, Death's Head troopers, elite utterly loyal fanatics. His arrival just instantly escalated everything. Ancient occult evil touching down on the reservation.
Why was he there?
Representing Nuevas Fronteras, officially. Demanding answers about the delayed Sapphire shipment. Remember, ABC was supposed to be producing this stuff for them.
And Turner had been keeping the reanimation stuff secret.
Exactly. So Turner panics, tries to explain, tells Galt about the break-in, the spill, but he lies about the bodies, claims they were cremated in the incinerator. Standard disposal.
Did Galt buy it? Not for a second. Galt was deeply suspicious. His methods for getting the truth. They weren't exactly conventional interrogation.
What did he do?
He insisted on touring the waste incinerator with Security Chief Dashiell. Once they were there, Galt initiated this horrifying ritual called mephitic memories.
Mephitic memories? What is that?
He had his commandos kill Dashiell's guards right there. Then Galt himself, he scalped Dashiell, sawed open his cranium while Dashiell was still alive.
No, barbaric.
And then Galt ate Dashiell's still warm brain.
He ate his brain. Why?
It's a Karotechia ritual. They believe consuming the brain this way allows the practitioner to absorb all the victim's memories, every thought, every secret. And it worked. Galt instantly knew everything.
Everything Dashiell knew.
Everything. The reanimated subjects in Lab 6, Turner's secret plan to refine Sapphire. And critically, the fact that federal investigators were poking around, the whole cover-up was blown wide open in Galt's mind.
So what did Galt do now that he knew the truth?
He immediately contacted Dr. Frank back in Brazil, used an encrypted cell phone and a book code. Based on Mind Triumph.
Mind Triumphs, not Mein Kampf.
No, Mind Triumph.
Oh.
The Karotechia's own holy book, supposedly dictated by an avatar of Nyarlathotep disguised as Hitler.
Nyarlathotep, the Lovecraft entity. Seriously.
That's what the lore claims. It shows the scale of their belief system. Cosmic horror mixed with Nazi ideology. Anyway, Galt explained the situation to Frank, waited for instructions. The reply came back. One word.
What word?
Sanitize.
Sanitize.
Meaning kill everyone who knows, everyone who came into contact with Sapphire, incinerate Lab 6 and everything in it, erase all the computer data, destroy the entire facility, leave absolutely no trace. Total scorched earth.
How did he plan to do that?
He and his commandos, now decked out in black tactical gear, seized control of security immediately. Forced Dr. Metro to gather Turner, Crisp, and another manager named Zeiss into Lab 6.
For interrogation.
A more conventional one, the report says, but still brutal. He started by messily gutting one of Turner's security guys right in front of them, just to show he was serious.
Jesus.
Then he subjected Turner to the reanimated dogs and monkeys. And for Crisp and Zeiss, he stuffed their genitals through the feeding slots in the cages with the zombie dogs.
That's obscene torture.
Unspeakable, but effective. He quickly figured out Crisp was the whistleblower, the one who mailed the head.
So Galt knew Crisp was the source of the leak. What was his final plan?
First, perform mephitic memories on Crisp. Eat his brain to find out exactly where the head was sent, who else knew, tie up every single loose end.
And then murder.
Plant explosives in Lab 6, wipe the mainframes, sabotage the environmental safety systems, and then the grand finale.
Yeah.
Flood the entire gemstone facility with gaseous sapphire.
Flood the whole plant. Why?
To kill everyone left inside, and then immediately reanimate them, creating a horde of angry, confused zombies, utter chaos.
While he escaped.
Exactly. He'd plant more charges to start a massive fire, incinerate all the evidence, then escape by helicopter or by hijacking the weekly train that transported the Sapphire. His key challenge, timing. He had to move incredibly fast to get out before the newly reanimated staff overwhelmed him. Minutes were critical.
The wider implications and persistent threat.
This is just an escalating nightmare. So even if investigators managed to stop Galt at the gemstone facility, the threat wasn't necessarily over.
Not if Galt escaped, especially if he escaped with Crisp, or even just Crisp's head after the ritual. His next target would be Fiona Linway.
The environmentalist in Berkeley.
Why her? She was the intended recipient of the head. Galt needed to be absolutely sure the leak was contained. He couldn't leave any loose ends, so he'd arrange her kidnapping.
How? Would he go himself?
He'd use local assets. A white supremacist group called the Bear Flag Republic, led by a guy named Horst Jaeger. Galt would have them snatch her.
White supremacists working with Nazi occultists?
It raises that chilling question, doesn't it? What's scarier, ancient magic or modern hate networks? The Karotechia were masters at leveraging both. They used existing groups like the Bear Flag Republic for plausible deniability and local muscle. It shows how deeply embedded these threats can be, blending ancient evil with modern extremism.
So they'd kidnap Fiona.
Yeah, likely a brutal struggle at her apartment, maybe alerting neighbors, leading to a high-speed chase. They'd take her to Jaeger's fortified cabin, probably an underground bunker stocked with illegal weapons, a fusion of hate group paranoia and occult needs.
And Galt's plan for her.
Utterly thorough and completely depraved. He'd perform mephitic memories on her too. Murder her, decapitate her, crack open her skull, devour her brain, just to confirm the leak stopped with her, that she hadn't told anyone else.
And her body.
As a final, gruesome insult, he'd spit roast her remains over a fire, a jovial feast with his commandos, then discard whatever was left to feed Jaeger's aggressive Rottweilers at some other compound. Total erasure, maximum desecration.
It's hard to even process that level of calculated monstrosity.
It truly is. It pushes beyond simple evil into something profoundly alien.
So, assuming the investigators are successful, maybe they save Fiona, expose some of this. Does Galt get caught?
Unlikely. The scenario suggests Galt himself is designed to be elusive. He should escape, maybe losing a few commandos in the process, but vanishing back into the shadows. A persistent threat left dangling.
Does he leave anything behind? Any clues?
Potentially. His copy of Mein Triumphs, that terrifying Karotechia holy book, supposedly dictated by Nyarlathotep as Hitler.
What's in it?
Details on how the Aryan race can supposedly achieve demigod status through mass sacrifices, arcane rituals. It's a roadmap for future horrors. Finding that book would be crucial for any ongoing counter-operations. It reveals the Karotechia aren't just thugs. They're powerful, cunning masters of both sorcery and arcane science.
So pulling this all together, what does it all mean, this whole horrific story?
The Karotechia's goal: reanimation, cloning, this twisted cure for death. It's like a dark mirror reflecting our own deepest fears and desires, isn't it? It's the ultimate expression of the uncanny valley.
Life that isn't really life.
Exactly. A mockery of existence. So close to what we understand as being, but fundamentally terrifyingly wrong. It forces us to ask those really uncomfortable questions. Does evil like this ever truly end? And what price are people or organizations willing to pay for secrecy or for ultimate power? Even if it means shattering the boundaries of life and death itself. Outro, diving into the Karotechia, into Sapphire, into the whole concept of reanimation. It's a stark reminder, isn't it, when that quest for knowledge gets untethered from ethics, compassion, from any kind of accountability, it just leads to horrors, unspeakable horrors.
Yeah, the line between science and, well, sorcery, I guess, it gets incredibly blurry, dangerously blurry.
And that uncanny valley that stops being just a theory, a feeling. It becomes this terrifying chasm where existence itself is twisted into something monstrous, something we can barely look at, let alone understand. Absolutely. Well, that's all the time we have for this journey into the Uncanny Valley podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on this pretty disturbing exploration of the bizarre and the profoundly unnatural. We hope it's given you a lot to think about, maybe some things you wish you hadn't thought about.
Stay safe out there.
Until next time, stay curious.
Yeah.
And maybe, just maybe, be a little extra vigilant about what truly lies beneath the surface.